Derivatives market is one that all holders of XRP are aware of. Due to the value that this market offers, everyone has been eager for it to be included to the chain. I specifically want to discuss in this video all of the ties that XRP and Ripple have to the futures market and what that can mean for XRP's price. Having stated that, welcome to the Peepo Coin channel, everybody. If you are new to the channel, I hope you will subscribe by the end of this video. First and foremost, I would like to begin with a recent news that the CME Group will begin trading XRP futures on May 19th of this year. This is significant now since the CME Group is a prominent derivatives marketplace. They are actually the top derivatives marketplace in the world. The intriguing thing about them is that they will be adding more than just XRP to their platform for trading futures. In addition, they have Solana and I think HBARs connected to the CME Group. As a result, this is quite interesting to watch and demonstrates that these major players, if you want to call them that, are cognizant of how large the crypto sector will be in the TradFi future. You are aware that some of these utility titans will be just as large as XRP. I too desire a share of the pie. These days, I additionally consider their most recent announcements when I consider some of these names. In March, the IT giant Google Cloud and the futures trading behemoth CME Group announced that they would be testing tokenization later this year with hopes to deploy services in 2026. This announcement was made by Justin Futures Trading Group. However, these are the kinds of announcements that I believe everyone should be aware of because even if it doesn't specifically mention XRP or the platform they're using, I want you all to know that money and value will be involved in this space. It need not even come into contact with XRP. Isn't this one of the most common misconceptions? For instance, if there was a Bitcoin announcement, and the ETF frenzy is a prime illustration of this, in my opinion. The Bitcoin ETFs became online back in January 2024, and the space as a whole benefited greatly from what was good for Bitcoin. This is the same, isn't it? The entire cryptocurrency space will benefit greatly if hundreds of trillions or perhaps quadrillions of money enter the chain, not all at once but gradually. Additionally, I do believe that these announcements will become more frequent. As you are aware, the DTCC, for instance, declared on April 2nd that they will be launching a tokenized collateral platform. Additionally, the DTCC is a huge name. You already know how much money the DTCC is moving if you are familiar with derivatives and securities transactions after all. However, if you're unsure, well, let's take a short look because we recently received an update on the 24th stating that despite market volatility, the DTCC processed a record volume across services. The date of this was April 9th. In a single day, they reached a new high of $5,550 billion, 0 cents. The intriguing part now comes because we have updated figures on the amount of money that the DTCC moves annually. In 2024, DTCC subsidiaries will process securities transactions worth $3.7 quadrillion. This is crazy. This sum of money is enormous. Furthermore, many people are really unaware of the existence of this sum of money. For this reason, we concentrate on derivatives. Indeed, I wrote a post that dates back to 2023, and I did suggest that you could see the value that will be present in this market if you took a moment to consider the power of tokenization. There are over $300 trillion, 0 cents in real estate, over $100 trillion, 0 cents in stocks, and over $300 trillion, 0 cents in debt. Derivatives cost between $600 trillion and $1.2 quadrillion. Securities lending cost $2.9 trillion, and securities financing cost $1 trillion. When considering the amount of money that will flow through this space, for example, it makes no difference if they are using Ethereum, XRP, or this network. The amount of money that will be bridged between all of these networks in this space is going to be multi-chain. Every single valid utility-based initiative will be impacted by the volume of money that will be routed through this entire area. For this reason, we pay close attention to what these organizations are doing. The CME Group, the DTCC, the BIS, the IMF, and every other international organization and financial behemoth are all discussing tokenization, including the ISDA. Digital asset standards were first announced in 2023. This is an industry association for derivatives, the same one that Ripple joined in 2023. Additionally, the names that are connected to the ISDA include BlackRock and JP Morgan Citi. However, any bank could use their name. They most likely belong to the ISDA. Many people are now claiming right away that this puts XRP in a position to facilitate $1.2 quadrillion. Don't get ahead of yourself, please. The positive aspect of this is that it does, in fact, make Ripple more well-known. Indeed, this also establishes a link to the derivatives market. Ripple and XRP will benefit greatly from this, however. As of yet, there has been no announcement about derivatives with the ISDA and the XRP ledger. One thing we do know, however, is that the ISDA did highlight in their legal guidelines for smart derivatives contracts that derivatives are a good place to use distributed ledger technology and smart contracts because their primary payments and deliveries rely significantly on conditional logic. But since these technologies are still in their infancy, there is still disagreement about what smart contracts are, how they might interact with current legal documents and standards, and what part they can play in the derivatives market. We now know that DLT can be useful for a variety of purposes. Derivatives' lack of transparency is their main drawback. There is no transparency whatsoever in the derivatives market. They don't quite realize how much money is involved because of this. Furthermore, it continues to suffer from the same inefficiencies as cross-border or conventional bank payments. Thus, once more, I continue to believe that DLT has a huge application here. Additionally, we have a presentation from the ISDA here that describes how various agreements interact with DLTs that are tapped in on the bottom with nodes, oracles, and even players. They cross both sides in this way, both from the TradFi and, if you will, the DeFi sides. However, once more, it is evident that some of these names are enormous. For example, because it is a standard body, the ISDA is one of the most well-known names in the derivatives industry. This brings me to my next topic of discussion. What role does Ripple actually play in this situation? As we are aware that Ripple is a member of ISDA. That's fantastic news, however. What else might Ripple be doing in this situation? Let's take a brief look back at the Robinhood and Bitstamp news. Recently, on April 20th, Jungle Inc. posted something on X. A full-scale cryptocurrency derivatives exchange is being wired directly onto the XRP ledger by Bitstamp and Robinhood. Indeed, this is what they're doing. Every month, global cryptocurrency derivatives already clear $4.8 trillion, 0 cents. That represents 70% of the total value of digital assets. Just capturing 1% of that traffic would translate into 1 to 2 billion trades every day, processed in a matter of seconds via the XRP ledger. Each contract settles on the chain, burning XRP dust, increasing liquidity, and giving more than 15 million Robinhood users round-the-clock leverage. Even a tiny portion of cryptocurrency can quickly increase the activity on the XRP ledger by 20 times, creating a new source of income in the $700 trillion traditional derivatives market. For both systems, examine the startup window. The time may have come for XRP ledger to take the big stage on Wall Street. Now, if we're considering this, you do realize that I've always discussed the multiple behind price. You will observe price multiples as the XRP ledger moves in terms of activity, volume, and value. And by that, what do I mean? Our thoughts are constantly along the lines of, well, what if XRP 10x from here? Okay, so the problem with that is that even if we start to see enormous volumes, we're only talking about 1% of some of these markets, in this case, cryptocurrency derivatives. In a relatively short period of time, the price of XRP will increase by 3, 4, 5, or 10 times if we begin to witness a significant quantity of XRP being burned.